I have never used Bumble before. The thought of online dating doesn't appeal to me. Yet here I am, using up all my free swipes for that day and getting no matches in return. I was stunned, but didn't think much of it. I went about my day and eventually got a ping from my phone saying I had a new match. I quickly opened up the app to see I had matched with a girl who was always with friends in every photo. The same girls. I quickly asked which one she was after introducing myself, and we got to joking around quite easily. "So, do you have any plans tonight?" she asked. I was trying to play it cool. "Nah, I'm just gonna watch a movie." "Wicked," she quickly bounced back. "I'd so love to have a movie night tonight." I wasn't sure how to play this. I left her hanging for just over an hour before I responded. "Maybe you should come around," I was teasing. But she instantly replied saying she's up for it and asked for my address. I live alone, and I don't go giving away my address that easily, but also didn't want this girl to slip away. "So, fancy FaceTiming before you come over?" I exclaimed, waiting patiently for what surprisingly turned out to be a yes. We FaceTimed, and she was the same girl in the photos. She was even more funny and beautiful than what I originally had seen. Lucky me. Satisfied with this, I gave her my postcode and waited. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours later, and still nothing. I sent her a quick text. "Hey, where are you?" She never replied. I got a little on edge now, as it was late and I was tired, wanting to go to bed. I hated getting stood up, but it happens. I made sure all the windows and doors were locked before I headed off to bed. That's when I heard it. Smash! A window downstairs breaks, and heavy footsteps starts pacing around the ground floor. I held my breath in a panic and could hear the quiet yet methodical footsteps walking around. Stopping every few seconds, I knew he was searching. Maybe he is just a thief, I tell myself. This was definitely not a girl though. My bedroom was wide open, and my phone was on the bed. Quickly I grabbed it, tiptoeing over to the bedroom door, gently nudging it shut. I dialed 911 before heading off into the closet. My breathing became erratic as I sat down begging for the police to get here quickly. An operator told me the police would be here shortly, and so I had to wait. Focusing on my breath as the footsteps stopped, I heard nothing but my heartbeat pounding out of my chest. Then they started again, coming up the stairs slowly but stepping heavily. Did the girl send this guy? Was this set up? Was it just a random coincidence? If the girl sent the guy, how did she know what house I lived in? If it was just a coincidence, maybe it's just my bad luck. Random questions came into my head as the man stopped at the top of the stairs. My bedroom was to the left of the staircase, and so I quickly tried calming my breath before I heard him open the first door. I assumed that to be the bathroom. He searched briefly, then opened the second door, before finally coming into my room. The door screeched open. I could see through the gap that it was a big man, dressed in black. He stepped forward, cautiously looking around before sitting down on my bed. "I know you're in here," he said, before quickly dropping to the floor and looking under my bed. "I'm going to kill you tonight," he chuckled, looking back around the room. There was another bang, but I knew it to be the front door. The man quickly shot up. He glanced toward the closet as if to be contemplating opening it, knowing I was there, but instead hid behind the bedroom door. I knew I had to run past as the door knocked a couple of more times, but I was petrified to move. Somehow though, I managed to pluck up the courage when I thought it was safe to do so, and slammed the closet doors open, sprinting as fast as I could down the stairs. I had no idea if the man was following behind, but I opened the door to the police. Quickly, whilst catching my breath, I told them he was upstairs. They rushed inside whilst repeatedly telling me to remain outside. Guns out, and 5 minutes later brought the man down in handcuffs. For the first time I could see what he looked like. Long, dirty hair, a terrifying smile with broken teeth, bags under his eyes. He continued to smile at me as he walked past, saying he will see me soon. To this day, I still struggle to sleep wondering if the girl sent a guy to my house, and if so, why. I deleted Bumble that night and have not gone back since. I've been on and off Bumble for quite some time. I have luck with some photos, more so than others, and I had experienced a few dates with men. Yes, I'm a girl, 23, brunette with a curvy figure. I tend to attract the wrong attention, and that's why I'm sharing this story now. I had matched with a guy named Josh. Cute smile, funny to begin with, and we quickly hit it off. Josh was also a brunette, 23, and lived just over 10 miles away. We agreed to meet up in public, and so decided on a park at sunset the same day. Things were going pretty quickly, but surprisingly smoothly. I knew the park to be quite busy during the day, but silent at night. It was only a 5-minute drive from where I lived, so I was the first to arrive. Normally I am late, so didn't really know what to do now as I sat patiently waiting in my car, scrolling through Instagram on my phone. A message pops up on my screen. It was Josh. "Hey, I'm going to be a little late. Can you give me half an hour?" "Sure," I replied. I actually left to go and get myself a Starbucks to pass the time. The queue was long, and just as I was getting served, Josh calls me and asks where I am and why I wasn't there. He seemed agitated. I apologized and said I am on my way back and won't be long. I took a quick sip of my boiling latte and headed off to the park. It was now dark. I guess all my senses went out the window as I found myself back at the park and looking around. Nobody was out. I texted him to say I was here, and where was he? He shoots back a quick text to say that he is sitting on the grass and to come over. He could see me apparently. "Okay," I responded as I got out of my car, grabbing my latte. I took off my lid as that's how I prefer to drink it. I crossed the road and could see into the field. I could see Josh sitting on the grass quite a bit into the field. I called out his name as he didn't seem to move. Nothing. So I stepped into the park and onto the field. My steps were confident, but as I grew closer, my steps became more cowardly as the street lights faded and the darkness grew. "Josh?" Still no answer. Where the figure sat, there was some heavily wooded forest just to the left. I took hold of my phone whilst juggling the latte and decided to call him. I wasn't willing to take another step forward towards this figure sitting on the ground who was clearly non-responsive. His phone just rang and rang, and that's when I heard it. The jingle of his phone coming not from the figure on the ground, but from the woodland. I froze as this man came lunging out of the trees towards me. I wasn't fast, and certainly wasn't fit enough to escape this person. As he got closer, I chucked my hot latte into his face and decided to run for it. I ran as fast as I could. I'm only 5'1", but managed to get back to my car whilst hearing this man screaming after me. I couldn't see his face, but didn't dare look back. I fumbled for my keys as I could hear his footsteps. I slammed the car door shut and he lunged at the car. Started banging at the window, trying to break it in. I managed to start the car and speed away. I drove for ages, making sure he wasn't following me. I even parked at the police station for ages, just sat there and waited, before finally making my way home. Now I take things extremely slowly on Bumble. I was a fool when I used Bumble. Firstly, let me say that I am a guy, 18, thin, but quite geeky. I had a few matches, but nothing that massively sparked my interest. But one girl really made the effort with me. Her name was Jess. She was tall, black hair, curvy, and looked to be a bit of a party girl. She wasn't really my type, but I tried to be open-minded and go for personality over looks. She was friendly, kind, and knew how to make me laugh with ease. We actually spoke for a few days before arranging a date to meet up. She was the one who wanted to exchange selfies on Snapchat before meeting, and I was down for it. I sent a selfie first, eager more than anything. She opened it up. I waited a few minutes before she sent a selfie back. Yep, it was the same girl. We quickly got to arranging a meet. I wanted to go for a casual walk in the high street, but she wanted to know if I was a bad boy in the sense of coming over and keeping her company as she felt a little lonely. I knew exactly what she meant, and so I quickly agreed to it. I got myself ready, sprayed myself more than what I probably should have, told my mum I was going out and might not be back that night, and then headed out the front door. I didn't have a car, and so decided to walk to hers. It was around an hour walk. Yeah, I was committed. The house sat on its own, in a street where most other homes were boarded up. I heard this was a neighbourhood to not stick around in, but my mind was elsewhere, and so I pushed on. There was one light on in the top right room. I assumed it to be her bedroom. I messaged her on Snapchat and say I am outside. I also knocked the front door as an extra acknowledgement to her that I was in fact outside. She messaged back saying that everybody is sleeping and if I didn't mind just coming in on my own and she would meet me on the stairs. I thought it was really weird why she said that, but I did indeed open the front door. But before I entered, I glanced around, more so to check the street, but as I turned back to face the front door, I noticed a blind slightly open. I quickly glanced back. It was now closed, and I started to feel a little creeped out. The front door was slightly pushed open, not enough for me to see inside, but enough to obviously see the door isn't shut. Hey, I don't feel comfortable coming inside. I'm sure I saw someone look through the blinds in the main window. Can you come to the door? To my surprise, she actually said okay, and came to the front door. It was the same girl. She was dressed in a nightgown and told me to come in. I stepped inside and every light was turned off. I didn't close the door as I really wanted to be able to see where I was going and what was around. I flipped the light switch that was on the wall, but no light came on. Light bulb blew the other night, Jess quickly said, chuckling to herself as she glanced into the living room before stepping towards the stairs. I stopped by the light switch and just didn't feel right. Something stopped me wanting to go further. Jess stood on the second step and asked me to come in, but her eyes kept glancing toward the living room. It was like a mini standoff, and I started to back away. Sorry, I have to go. I said cautiously. Her eyes opened wide as I started to step back out the front door. Wait, she paused, thinking. Don't you want to have some fun? I just nodded my head in no, as I decided in that moment to actually run away. When I ran past a few houses, I looked back and could see the most terrifying thing I have ever seen. Every blind in every window was lifted slightly, as if there were multiple sets of eyes glaring at me from down the street. I went to report the girl off Bumble, but she had already done that. I'm just glad I never gave my address. I deleted her off Snapchat, but who knows what would have happened to me if I had decided to go in.